What's going on YouTube? Thomas L here. Premiering tomorrow on TBS is the new comedy series titled The Miracle Worker, which stars Steve Buscemi as God. Amazing casting. I mean, who knows if he'll be as good as Morgan Freeman's God, but I'm sure Steve Buscemi playing God or Miracle Worker is going to be interesting to watch. Now, Steve Buscemi, I think he's a tremendous actor. You know, he's been on loads of good stuff over the years. Some not so good stuff, but I'm getting into his good stuff. I mean, he's a really great character actor. So, that being said, here's my 10 favorite Steve Buscemi movies. Alright, coming in at number 10 will be The Death of Stalin, which I guess you could say is like a comedic look at the death of famed dictator Joseph Stalin. And in this, it stars Steve Buscemi as Nikita Sergeyevich. It's kind of hard to pronounce his character's name, but Steve Buscemi was really good in this. Besides him, you also had Jeffrey Tambor. The dude who played Stalin was pretty good. Andre Riseborough was in this. Who else? Oh yeah, Jason Isaacs. Good cast, and it's from the same director of the show V. It's pretty funny. I mean, the cast was cool. You know, it was a really interesting little film. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, it's on Showtime. Definitely give that one a go. I think you'll enjoy it. Coming in at number 9 is Ghost World. Now, this is based on a graphic novel, and it's from the same director of Bad Santa. And the film follows social outcasts and best friends, Enid and Rebecca, played by Scarlett Johansson and Dora Birch, who in the summer of their high school graduations, as they attempt to make sense of their lives and the world around them, but they pretty much make prank calls to a lonely middle-aged man named Seymour, played by Steve Buscemi. And then they pretty much find in a personal aid of like a local newspaper, and there's like an odd relationship that sparks between them. It's a really good film. I mean, Scarlett Johansson was pretty good. Of course, this is way before she became big with the Avengers and all. Dora Birch was good in this. Steve Buscemi as Seymour is really good casting. I mean, if you guys never seen Ghost World, it's another Steve Buscemi movie worth checking out. And also, I really like their chemistry with Steve Buscemi. I think their chemistry worked out pretty well. Too bad we never got to see a sequel, because it'll be interesting to see where Scarlett Johansson and Dora Birch's characters are, today. All right, coming in at number 8 will be the remake of Charlotte's Web. Now, Steve Buscemi in this actually voiced the role of Templeton, who's of course the rat in this. Templeton is probably my favorite Charlotte's Web character. I always thought that the character still sings both in this and of course in the animated version. And Steve Buscemi, I mean, he does voice work really well. And him as the voice of the rat, that was literally genius casting. Of course, you had Dakota Fanning in this. Julia Roberts was the spider. Really good film. I mean, it's not as good as the animated film, but it's still pretty decent. Coming in at number 7 is Con Air. Now, this is literally a 90s fun action film. And besides Buscemi, you had Nick Cage, Ving Rhames, John Cusack was in this. And in it, Steve Buscemi plays the role of Garland Green, who's a convict introduced in like the second half of the movie. And he's pretty much portrayed as being like an insane serial killer. And Steve Buscemi, that guy plays crazy well. And he was really great in this. I mean, he doesn't have like the biggest scene or anything like that, but his parts in Con Air was really interesting. and of course, it was directed by Simon West. He did a good job of directing. This is '90s pure action entertainment. If you guys never seen Con Air, definitely give this one a go. It's really fun. All right, coming in at number 6 is another movie that's not really. Now, this film is kind of not his biggest role or anything, but that would be Big Daddy. Now, over his career, Steve Buscemi has worked with Adam Sandler loads of times, whether it be Airhead, The Wedding Singer, Billy Madison, Grown Ups, The Cobbler. The list goes on and on. But my favorite Steve Buscemi and Adam Sandler collaboration has got to be Big Daddy. I mean, granted, Steve Buscemi doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but his role as the homeless man is really hysterical. I mean, the scene is pretty much where Adam Sandler's character, Sonny Koufax, and the kid Julian is going to McDonald's for breakfast, and they and then the kid talks to Steve Buscemi's homeless character, and I mean, all Steve Buscemi's character pretty much is he mainly wants a sausage McMuffin with hash browns. That's pretty much the premise with his character. I mean, Steve Buscemi, he was really hysterical as that role, and yeah, of course, Big Daddy is definitely one of my favorite comedies. Mainly my favorite Adam Sandler comedy. It's really funny, and yeah, definitely. I mean, I gotta say, too bad Steve Buscemi didn't have like much scenes in this, but he was still pretty funny as parts. All right, coming in at number 5 is another film where Steve Buscemi doesn't have much scenes in it, but it's a really interesting scene, and that will be pretty much one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. That is Pulp Fiction. Now, in this, Steve Buscemi pretty much plays the waiter who's actually Buddy Holly, and Steve Buscemi in this is incredible. Steve Buscemi as Buddy Holly was pretty fun to watch. Of course, Pulp Fiction is definitely one of the best movies ever. Quentin Tarantino directed it. You had John Travolta, Sam Jackson. Pulp Fiction is just awesome, and Steve Buscemi in this was a real scene stealer. All right, coming in at number 4 is another animated voice work, and that will be Monsters Inc. I mean, Steve Buscemi as the purple eight-legged lizard monster, Randall, is a really cool villain. He's probably my favorite villain out of the Pixar universe. I know lots of people probably say Sid is their favorite, and granted, Sid's of course awesome, but I think the best of villain out of the whole Pixar universe has got to be Randall, and of course, it's voiced by Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi plays that role perfectly. I mean, of course, the lizard pretty much wants to kidnap Boo and all. That's a really fun character for Steve Buscemi to play. I mean, his parts is pretty funny, and the scenes with Boo and Randall was hysterical. And Monsters Inc. is awesome all the way around. And he, of course, had a part in, of course, Randall returned for Monsters University, and in that we find out how come Randall became, such a bad guy in Monsters University. But his part in Monsters Inc. was much better, to be honest. Yeah. All right, coming in at number 3 is The Big Lebowski. Now, Steve Buscemi in this played the role of Theodore Donald Donne Cara Bothouse, who's pretty much a bowling partner and friend of the dude. Now, granted, this is also not that much of a big Steve Buscemi role, but Steve Buscemi role in this was pretty funny. I really liked his chemistry with the dude, and some of the lines that Steve Buscemi had was pretty funny. And Big Lebowski is pretty much awesome. So there's that too. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Big Lebowski? It's definitely an awesome film. And definitely one like besides John Goodman's character, Steve Buscemi is definitely another one scene stealer. I mean, besides the dude, Big Lebowski has some major scene stealers like John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, and John Turturro were probably all the best parts in Big Lebowski. All right, coming in at number 2 is Fargo. I've been talking about this movie for a while lately. Anyway, but of course, Fargo pretty much is set in Minnesota in 1987, and it also stars William H Macy as a car salesman in Minneapolis, who of course got himself in debt, and he's like so desperate for money that he hires two Dougs, played by Steve Buscemi, and the underrated Pierce Stormer, to kidnap his own wife, and so he'll collect the ransom from her wealthy father. I mean, this movie is nuts, and I could say it's like a dark comedic thriller. It was directed by the Coen brothers, who also did Big Lebowski, and Steve Buscemi was really good in this. Of course, William H Macy was great. Pierce Stormer was awesome. You even had Francis McDormand. Really good film and good cast, not to mention. All right, now my favorite Steve Buscemi movie is Reservoir Dogs. Now, Reservoir Dogs is also directed by Quentin Tarantino and stars Steve Buscemi as the role of Mr. Pink. And in this, Mr. Pink is like one of the anti-heroes. And of course, he's like one of the 6 criminals in the diamond heist that, of course, goes very wrong. I mean, Steve Buscemi is amazing in Reservoir Dogs. He plays the role of Mr. Pink just perfectly. He has lots of funny lines in Reservoir Dogs. And Reservoir Dogs is a really intense thriller. I mean, it's a crime film. I guess you could say it's a heist movie as well. Quentin Tarantino, I mean, that guy does it great. I mean, who doesn't love Quentin Tarantino? He's the best. And he, of course, did a great job with Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, I mean, if you guys never seen Reservoir Dogs by now, do yourself a favor and give this one a go. I think you'll enjoy it. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 10, The Death of Stalin. 9, Ghost World. 8, Charlotte's Web. 7, Con Air. 6, Big Daddy. 5, Pulp Fiction. 4, Monsters Inc. Big Lebowski. 2, Fargo. And 1, Reservoir Dogs. Now, he's done loads of other stuff over the years. Let me pull up his credits. Let's see. Armageddon he was in. Grown Ups. Mr. Deeds, which are other Adam Sandler films. Spy Kids 2. Hotel Transylvania 1, 2, and 3 he was in. Airheads, which is kind of pretty funny. Big Fish, directed by Tim Burton, was pretty good. Desperado he was in. I Now Pronounce Chuck and Larry, I really liked him in. Monster House. Miller's Crossing, another Coen Brothers film. He was, of course, in Lean on Pete. Not to mention, movies aside, he was also on the hit show Boardwalk Empire. He, of course, directed that movie Interview. He did lots of, good stuff. I mean, Steve Buscemi is just awesome all the way around, And I'm really looking forward for his new show, The Miracle Worker, which premieres tomorrow on TBS, so keep your eye out for that. Anyway, let me leave it to you guys. What are some of your favorite Steve Buscemi movies? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Thomas L. signing off.